when you get mad at each other, you can't just go to your separate homes.
Nah, they right there in your face. What's good, homie?
Welcome everybody. This is Let's Rock Podcast. We are now on episode 15 of the episode Let's Rap Podcast. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe to the page also.
Yep.
Uh, I am your co-host Philosophical.
And I am your co-host, Jay Echo. What's good, y'all?
And what's up everybody? Pretty much today we're going to be talking about the vulnerabilities of what men go through. Kind of talking about uh, mental, spiritually, not necessarily, but we can also talk about kind of the physical vulnerabilities a man can go through. Just kind of digging into a deep discussion on, I guess, kind of uncharted territory for men. A lot of these things aren't really talked about from all sorts of perspectives. Um, I think a lot of times we've talked about this before that men are programmed to pretty much not talk about things and pretty
Yeah.
much suck it up and by the bootstraps and take it.
Yeah.
And from my perspective of what I'm learning is that the longer you do that, sometimes you can mentally and also verbally combust to the fact that you might say some things you may not like to your mate or to yourself uh, or to others.
Yeah.
So, just as an example, man, I look at it that uh, I had a friend ask me a couple weeks ago, like, what's the key to a perfect relationship? And I kind of took a back seat to that, to the fact that, you know, I'm not in a perfect relationship, and I'm here to tell everybody that feels they are. You know, it's different when you're outside, you know, in public, kind of being a certain way than being inside.
Yeah.
Um,
Grass is always greener.
yeah, on the outside, because
Mm.
a man and a woman, the strength of their marriage, relationship, or even dating is based on each other. If you have a strong foundation for each other, I feel like that's the first key to the fact that never let others see you hurting or divided, because that's what causes what's called openness within a relationship or marriage. And you got to be really careful with that because, you know, a lot of times outward forces have ways of piercing through a marriage, piercing through a relationship or dating, or, as we call it today, options.
That's what they call it, options.
Options. You got a lot of times where I feel like when you hear the word options or you got first five rotation, is the fact that, men and women, we can't decide on who we want to be with. That's one. Two,
Who you with?
exactly. Two, you know, a lot of people wait until a lot of those other priorities or options kind of drop off by their own doing, their own failing, to the fact that, okay, who it's not. Sometimes, in my opinion, it's not about what they look like. It's all about what a person can bring to the table and what a person can deal with. You know what I mean? So, from a perspective of rerouting back to the perspective of vulnerabilities within a man, is that I think what a lot of even men and some sorts women do not understand is that uh, we as men, we got a lot on our minds. I know for
Mhm.
me, my mind, I feel like my mind is constantly changing every minute. And I know different people think different ways or do different things, of course, people are different, but I do feel like, at some point, if you really care about this person, you start to change for that person. And if you're with the right person, that person will begin to change for you.
Mhm.
And I'm here to tell you, uh, being in a committed relationship, marriage, dating, relationships, it is not easy as a
Oop.
man, because there are things that you have to endure and deal with that are sometimes out of your control and sometimes within your control, to the fact of how you respond to certain things, to the fact of how you deal with certain things, how you react to certain things.
Mhm.
And the longer you're with the person, uh, and I'm talking, I feel like relationships, marriage, and even dating, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing marathon. It never ends. You start and there is no finish line. You keep going and you keep going and you keep going.
Energizer Bunny.
Yeah. And as a man, and I'm pretty sure our supporters out here can kind of relate to this, is that as a man, and this was something of my issue, to the fact that I felt that in order to keep my woman happy, it it had to be 90% physical. And that's not always the case, fellas.
Mhm.
That's not always the case, fellas. That's always not the case, ladies.
So
Because
so wait,
go ahead.
can you clarify that a little bit for me? So you said
I'm
what
talking. I'm talking sex.
so you're saying for your woman to be happy, most of it was the sex side of things?
Yeah, yeah. Because of
Oh,
what the experiences I went through, and the
okay.
type of and the type of women I dealt with,
I
prior.
will I understand that's your that was your experience.
So before you respond, I'm just telling you kind of from my experiences,
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah, yeah.
my
That's why
thoughts on how to keep a woman. And
yeah.
that's that. And I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that I was in the wrong.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've been kind of preaching being with the right person,
Mhm.
to the fact that you've got to have a little bit of that of everything.
Yeah.
You
There's
know,
a balance. I mean,
it's a balance, man. It's a
yeah.
true balance, because let's paint the picture of, if you're married, you're in a relationship, and we're also going to talk about from a perspective of, if you're dating. And I'm speaking for people that are living together right now, relationship, and also marriage, that are living with people.
Mhm.
Living with a woman, living with a man, that is a true test of your relationship and marriage. You know, when you're dating, there's this, when you're not living together, there's this, what's the word I'm looking for? Surprising, spontaneous reactions you have towards someone, because you go out with someone on a Thursday. Yeah, you're talking to him all the time, you're texting him all the time, but you may not see him again until Saturday
Mhm.
or Sunday. Or, if you're seeing him every day, that's fine and cool, but it's just not the same when you're living with somebody. When you're
Mhm.
living with somebody, you go to bed with this person and you're waking up with this person.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So as a man, my mind is constantly thinking all the time. For example, am I spending enough time with my woman?
Mhm.
Am I giving her enough attention? Because I tell you right now, for example, when I was dating her and we lived separately, we would talk every day, text every day.
Mhm.
Now that I see her every day in the house, I'm living with her. That stops. That stops. Because why? I see her all the time. I'm around her all the time. If we want to go out on dates, we can go out on dates every day. And as a man, I had to change that mindset to where, okay, it's no longer a game, fellas, ladies and gentlemen.
Nope.
When you get mad at each other, you can't just go to your separate homes.
Nah, they right there in your face. What's good, homie?
Yeah, yeah. Or when you have a, there are gonna be times where you have heated arguments or debates. You got to go upstairs to bed with this person, and the communication
Hmm.
really has to be stepped up because it gets to a point where, like, for me as a man, there's some things where I can't not just say, okay, well, she did this today. I won't see her for a couple of days. I'll get over it. Nah, nah.
You what's it called?
It's on your mind, and you
Yeah,
want to
it's
talk
on your
about it.
mind, and
Yeah,
now the person you have a problem with, I won't say you're angry with it because it could be whatever the issue is, but the person you have a problem with is there. Like,
yeah,
you wake up, you're seeing this person. You go to dinner, you're seeing this person.
yeah,
You come out the bathroom, you're seeing this person. So
yeah,
all that time that you would have had before to process or to re-examine and pick through every little thing, it's you're getting a large amount of exposure to this person. So
yeah, yeah. Every day.
mhm.
Um, so as a man, I truly feel like, we're constantly thinking. We're
Yeah,
constantly, things are on our minds,
yeah,
to the fact that, am I doing this right? Or am I not doing this right? Or any day is the fact that, sometimes we also, when you have disagreements
mhm.
and you're living with somebody, you take it a little bit more personal.
Oh yeah.
You take it a little bit more personal, like, ah, man, I didn't know I was treating you this way.
Mhm.
I didn't know I was doing this. And some of the things are unintentional,
Oh yeah.
you know? So a lot of times, I've been doing a lot of reading, and I get it. And like sometimes when, Jay has told me his experiences, I get it. I get it. Sometimes we get in a dark place, we get in the mode where we are not feeling ourselves or depressed or just got a lot on our minds. Before I never got it. I get it now, fellas.
Yeah. I mean, it's like to shed a little bit of light on some of the experiences I've shared with Phil. Like, I I've said a couple different times, but I recently got out of a relationship, right? And I was in that relationship during a period of time when I wasn't at my best. Like, I wasn't at my best mentally, I wasn't at my best emotionally, I wasn't at my best physically, financially. I just I wasn't doing it right. But there are, like Phil said, there are parts of you that, well, I won't speak to what other people feel. I'll speak to what I felt like. I felt like there were parts of me that A, the world didn't need to see, and
Hmm.
B, I didn't want the world to see, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And in this case, the world was, my family, my partner at the time, my friends, all of that sort of stuff. And because I mean, if I'm being honest about it, if I'm being real about it, like, I I kind of don't really care about what the world thinks. you know I care about a select few people. I have my group, and they're the ones who, I try, and they're the ones I'm living my life for, not the world, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, you get into your head, and it's like, oh well, for instance, like I'm pretty sure I was depressed for a certain amount of time. Didn't get treatment for it.
Do you feel like you were depressed within your relationship?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and in some regards, and I want to kind of touch on that because I feel like, I've been there, but I'm pretty sure our listeners have also been there to the fact that
Yeah.
when you feel depressed within a situation, you tend to feel like, why is this other person pulling me out of that depression?
See, I took a different approach
Hmm.
because
Which is fair because
yeah,
different people do take different approaches, but I feel
yeah,
like
yeah,
that is, you know, that could be that happens. People root take root cause as far as, you know, being upset within themselves or
yeah.
depressed or maybe a decision they made. They tend to think that it's their partner's fault on
Uh,
both sides.
so one thing I heard recently
Uh-huh.
that stuck with me was most of the time when we're dealing with regrets, we're not focused on the thing that we did. We're focused on
Mm,
what we would have done,
mm.
right?
And that plays a part where you have to decide as a man and a woman the decision you've made right now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you regret the decision because of a situation that's going on within your relationship? Or do you feel like if you made this decision differently, the things would be differently?
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something we as I'll say as people
Hmm.
gotta gauge. Gotta
Yeah.
gauge. Do you feel today the decisions you've made today, if you would have done them differently, would you have gotten a different result?
Yeah. But in that same token, I would say, like, I mean, we've said it a little bit before, but it's a balancing act, because if you focus too much on what you did before, if you obsess over that, then you're going to get the same outcomes because that's what you're focused
Mm,
on, right?
okay.
Like if you,
I see what you're saying.
yeah,
If you
if
continue
you,
if you continue making the same mistakes and doing the same things, you're gonna get the same results, no matter what decision you made. You just
exactly, like
made a
if
decision with someone but you continue doing the same behaviors.
exactly. So like if you focus on old, if your focus is in the past, you can't you can't make changes in the present if all you're focused on is the past, basically.
Okay. Yep.
Like
Yep.
if you're living your life for regret, then you leave no room for progress.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Um so like in my situation, for instance, like I spent so much time focused on what could have been or what should have been, right? Like,
Mm,
oh, if I had made this decision differently, then I wouldn't be in this situation right now. And instead of focusing, like I focused on that as opposed to, all right, well, you're in this situation. What can you do right now to change the situation? Right.
yeah. Yeah.
Because, and because of that, I was getting the same outcomes. Like, so the second I started focusing on, all right, this is what I did before, yes, but what am I going to do now? Like, a lot of people when they make mistakes, and this is myself included,
Mhm.
they'll what's it called, they'll do one of two things. They'll either obsess over that history and as a result, they'll make no progress. Or they'll say like, well, I did it that once, so that's in the past though, and I'm not that person anymore, so we'll just keep moving forward. And they try to forget about that history or that mistake, and then they ultimately end up doing the same thing because they haven't addressed the root cause of that thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I say it's a balancing act, because essentially, like, I like to think of it this way. The future is born of the present, and the present is born of the past, if that makes sense, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, the stuff you did back in the day is what's brought you to where you are now. And what you do right now is what's going to dictate where you end up in the future, right?
Hmm.
So, like, that's why, we've heard all kinds of sayings, like those who forget history are doomed to repeat it, yada yada yada, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms, and from a relationship standpoint now, like, you